Hello everybody, this is the iFan channel here, and today the weather is absolutely nice. It is currently 15 degrees outside, but in the afternoon it will reach around 20 degrees Celsius. Since I visited Berlin last year, if you don't see the attraction, just check out the last year's vlog. I'm going to link last year's vlog in the description below. If you don't see an attraction such as the Brandenburg Gate or Checkpoint Charlie, etc, etc. Since I did not have time to visit every single attraction last year, I decided to return to Berlin, and now I'm actually at the East Side Gallery. Founded in 1990, 1 year after the fall of the Berlin Wall, the East Side Gallery does have some portions of the former Berlin Wall and some remnants, by the way. It basically spans 1.3 kilometers. More than a kilometer and nearly a mile long. Basically 0.8 miles, which is quite insane. I'm not going to show you the entire wall, but as you can see, guys, I'm going to show you guys some of the more important bits. This is actually planet Earth, and if you want to walk a bit more, you'll see two communist presidents kissing each other. And as you can see, guys, here it is, Leonid Brezhnev and former East German dictator Erich Honecker. And here is another mural depicting Moscow, China, everywhere, and of course Berlin, where, as you can see, there is actually a Trabant, which is one of the worst cars ever built. Now, as you guys know, Berlin used to be divided between a communist and capitalist bloc during the Cold War, much like Germany itself, in West and East. Whilst West Berlin got to enjoy freedom in enclave because it is totally surrounded by East Germany, East Berlin had to suffer from the perils of communism, and therefore the Berlin Wall was built in 1961 to stop the defection of East Berliners to the western part of the city for more freedom. The wall did finally fall in 1989, marking the end of communism in Eastern Europe. But there are several other revolutions in the same year, including the Velvet Revolution, of course Tiananmen Square, and several others in Africa and in Eurasia. And as you can see, guys, this is actually the Benz Arena. I'm actually going to go to the Benz Museum tomorrow because I'm going to be heading to Stuttgart tomorrow. And if you can see from the distance, that is the Fernsehturm, the TV tower I talked about last year, which was built during the 60s. To show like East Berlin could actually be considered a quote utopia. Of course, even though the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, it was not until a year later, in the later part of 1990, when East and West Germany were finally reunited. As much as I'm a car enthusiast and I do love driving, I do have to return this car. And of course, guys, as you may know, driving in Europe and renting a car is not really financially savvy. So of course, I got to return this car, and for the rest of the trip, I'm going to use public transportation, including the train and bus services that stretch around continental Europe. After returning the car, why not I decide to eat at McDonald's. And here it is, guys, the meal. It includes a Big Mac, 2 chicken burgers, and a fries, and of course a drink. So I'm gonna eat, and then I'm going to go around Berlin. Why not? After lunch, I'm going to enter the Sophia's Cemetery, and I do believe the Berlin Wall Memorial is somewhere in here, but I'm not sure. Google Maps have redirected me here, by the way. Okay, guys, I finally found the Berlin Wall Memorial, and as you can see, guys, this basically shows the history of the Berlin Wall. And this memorial, however, was created in 1998 by the Federal Republic of Germany, and this monument is to commemorate some of the deaths which occurred from people who crossed the Berlin Wall from East to West Berlin. I'm actually going to enter the Chapel of Reconciliation, but before I'm gonna show you a brief history. As you can see, the Chapel of Reconciliation ended up in East Berlin, despite the fact that 90% of its members live in West Berlin, except for maybe the church minister. And due to the fact the SED, which is the Socialist Unity Party, which is a communist party by the way, was actually hostile against like any religion, and they're basically an atheist party by the way. The church ended up being demolished during the 80s and it was rebuilt again, and that is what the Reconciliation Church looks like. Okay guys, I'm going to enter the Church of Reconciliation. As you can see, I'm not sure if I need to be quiet or not, but as you can see guys, this is what the church looks like. It was rebuilt during the 90s and it looked absolutely nothing like the old church, which was destroyed in 1985 because it was on the other side of the border. And in here is actually a prayer room built in sort of a non-conventional style. Lastly, before I go to the DDR Museum, over here is the documentation center for the Berlin War Memorial. I'm going to go in here and see what it's like, and then I'm going to leave for the DDR Museum. The problem is, at this documentation center, you're not allowed to take pictures or record videos, so I'm sorry guys, there's not going to be any footage inside this building. As you can see guys, this is a 200 feet or 60 meter stretch of the Berlin Wall. It is absolutely surreal to see this. Yes, it is not only the east side gallery but also this side gallery as well. Okay guys, on the way to the DDR Museum, I thought why not I should stop by the Invalidian Park, which is actually a random 2.5 acre park in Berlin. As you can see guys, it does have a sculpture over there. Yeah, why not? I'll see you guys at DDR. Okay guys, this is the DDR Museum. As you can see guys, this is the children's bedroom, this is the bedroom, the lift over here, the kitchen, the restroom, the living room. It basically shows what an average house looks like in the GDR, and it's not just that. If we pop by this side, it will show like everything in the DDR, including the car the officials drive. Yep, a Volvo. It will also show like the government and stuff, the border crossings, the military, the prisons and stuff. It's quite crazy though, as you can see. You could like open these to find out like some more information about what you want. The reins of power. And if we go a bit further, this is a typical prison in the GDR. As you can see, it's quite small. It has a toilet, a sink, beds, and that's about it. And you're basically locked in if you're an enemy of the state. And I do believe this is like a interrogation center, but I'm not sure. And yes, that was an interrogation center. It basically shows a lot of information about life in the DDR and even how the DDR works, and some of the sibling states include like the Soviet Union and other Eastern European countries. It also shows the history of the DDR and shows some of the famous residents of the country. And there's actually also a movie theater, yeah. And this is actually a preschool kindergarten. As you can see, quite bland. It's really nothing, but just like other communist countries, the GDR does place high emphasis on education. This is the motorcycle of the GDR, and if we were to go up here, this is the Trabant 601, which is one of the worst cars ever built. Yep, along with the Euro GV, the Lada Riva, and several other horrible cars, and the FSO Polonaise. Okay guys, I just exited the DDR Museum, and as you can see guys, I'm actually going to ride my bike. Yes, the next bike all the way to the Topology of Terror. And as you can see guys, this is actually Alexanderplatz with the Finsterturm and also the Holzrathaus and also the new Humboldt Forum, which was reconstructed only 2.5 years ago. which is crazy. And over here, guys, is the Berlin Cathedral, of which I took 270 steps to get up to the dome last year. Okay, guys, this is Checkpoint Charlie. I visited this location last year. Just check out last year's video for more information. As you can see, guys, I do believe this is the Soviet soldier, but I'm not sure. And this is the US Army checkpoint. And there's actually a war museum and stuff and several others. So why not, guys? I'll meet you at the Topology of Terror Museum. Over there, guys, is the Topology of Terror, but since I'm a car and tech enthusiast, I decided to stop by the Trabi World. Unfortunately, I could not book a drive because Trabi World actually is closed currently. It closes at like somewhere around 3 o'clock, so sorry. As you can see, guys, these are Trabant 601s. They're one of the worst cars, but the Chevy Camaro is actually a very good car compared to any of these junk Trabants over here. Okay, guys, this is a topology of the terrors, and inside it basically describes about the Nazi regime, yes, which was between 1933 and 1945 when World War II ended. So over here, guys, it describes about the Topology of Terror, and over here it describes the Gestapo, which is the secret police of the Third Reich, and it basically shows all of these until we go deeper in and we see the Reich SS leader, which is Himmler's SS state. Yeah, Heinrich Himmler was the leader of the SS. And it basically talked about political prisoners and life in the Third Reich under Adolf Hitler's rule, though. And if we were to go back here, it would describe about how the Nazi regime works, and the police system, and of course the Gestapo, and the criminal police, and all of these. The Reich Security's main office as well. And over here it shows the people persecuted by Nazis, including the Roma, which are the Gypsies, the Jewish people, Polish, Slav, Soviets, prisoners of war, asocial elements, mentally disabled, and of course LGBT people over here. And basically any political enemies of the Nazi regime would be, of course, deported, sent to the camps, and perish. As you can see, there are many camps in Nazi Germany and throughout Europe, including Auschwitz, one of the more famous ones, and many others. And this shows all the territories Germany had either obtained or had their sphere of influence in. So basically the Nazis had this sphere of influence all throughout Europe, stretching from France all the way into like Poland and Russia and Ukraine and Belarus. And if we went all the way to the end, it will show like the post-war period and the end of World War II. As you can see, guys, the end of the SS state, and of course, like if you were to go in even more, it will show about like the trials, the Nuremberg trials and the doctor's trial, and several other trials which brought the Nazis to justice, with many of them being sentenced to capital punishment, including Adolf Eichmann and several others. And yes, Eichmann was convicted in a separate trial in 1962. And as you can see, these are some of the recent people who have been tried. Yes, you heard it correctly. Many governments are trying to get former Nazis into trial, even to this day, more than 75 years after the war had ended. However, some Nazis did escape justice, and many became like part of the German government. I'm currently in the outside of the museum. There's actually an interior compartment and of course an exterior compartment of this museum. This describes Berlin in the Weimar Republic, and then it proceeds all the way into like the Nazi regime. There's actually political crisis and economic crisis during the Weimar Republic. Yeah, as you might hear, the Great Depression did happen just a few years before Nazi Germany was founded. It described about the Nazi Party, or the National Socialist Workers' Party, and it described the rise of power and of course control, and establishing the Führer's dictatorship, which is the leader dictatorship. And of course they then gained power, and Hitler basically squashed all political opponents. The weird thing was that President Paul von Hindenburg actually appointed Adolf Hitler to become the Chancellor of Germany, and that's when Hitler started to rise into power to become the Führer, basically consolidating the presidency and the chancellorship. Well, just like many of the Republicans who started to ban books these days on critical race theory and others, the Nazis burnt books. This basically described establishing the Führer's dictatorship and establishing the Nazi party. And then if you go a bit further, then you get into here, the seats of power. During the Nazi regime, there was a concept called Lebensraum, which meant the bigger living space for the ethnic German people, with the Jews and of course Roma and these other so-called inferior people being excluded from society. And it then showed the Führer principle, the myth, and all this stuff there, until you get all the way here. And it showed some propaganda and communal experiences during the Nazi regime. The boom myth, and there's a lot more. Welfare myth and all this stuff. And myth of the Aryan family, and then to World War II. And over here, guys, it basically showed the persecution of inferior people such as like Jews and gypsies and Poles, Serbs, Slavs, prisoners of war, homosexuals, and all these other types of people. And then here is the pogrom in 1938, just 1 year before the war, which destroyed a lot of Jewish stuff in the Third Reich. And it did show the Summer Olympic Games of 1936, just 3 years before the war started. And of course the Nazis love to boast about their greatness to the war, but in reality the Nazis are not very good people. And of course, like, the Nazis did expand their influence all throughout Europe, just like I said, inside the building. And of course there's racism. And this is World War II, basically 1929 to 1945. And here we go, guys. We walked far enough to actually find World War II. Over here, guys, it talks about forced laborers and concentration camps. As, of course, you already know, the Nazis have a lot of concentration camps throughout Europe, such as Auschwitz. And, of course, they do practice forced labor, as many forced laborers work at Siemens, Volkswagen, and other German companies. Hitler was hated so much that somebody tried to assassinate him in 1944. Actually, this guy, Oberst Klaus Schenker, Graf von Stauffenberg. Of course, it then talks about the final battle and, of course, the end of the war. And it then talks about the DDR and, of course, the consequences of the Nazi regime. After World War II, Germany was split into 4 sectors: the US, UK, France, and, of course, the Soviet Union. And then several years later, it was divided into the west and eastern part of the country. And these are actually pictures of the east. And of course, once we went to the end, the very, very end of this outdoor tour, we will find that the Cold War did end during the 90s. And here we go. Since I'm finished touring this whole museum, why not? I'm thinking of going to the zoo. And I do believe, I'm not sure, but I do believe that these are sections of the Berlin Wall, by the way. And here we go, guys, the Berlin Zoological Garden, or in short, the Berlin Zoo. And yes, there are actually panda bears in there. And as you can see over here, that is a Chinese pavilion, and it is absolutely breathtaking at the zoo. I'm sorry, I don't have enough time to go to the aquarium because I actually checked in at 17 o'clock, which is basically the latest they would accept anybody. It is now 17:03 and the zoo closes at 18:30, so I had to make it through the zoo quite fast. But the zoo is quite amazing, by the way. Therefore, I don't have enough time for the aquarium. Over there, guys, you can see a red panda. By the way, it came all the way from Asia, just like the white panda. we're going to see next Nepal, China, India, Myanmar, Bhutan and Laos are where the red panda came from. And therefore guys, I'm going to look for the panda, why not? It is absolutely going to be crazy. Many zoos, like generic zoos in Boston and New York, don't offer pandas, but this zoo does. Just like the Toronto Zoo I went several years earlier. And there you go guys, I'm going to enter the panda garden, which will close at 18 o'clock. And there you go guys, this is one of the pandas at the zoo named Jiaoqing, who was born in 2010. As you can see, this is actually a panda bear. And fun fact about bamboos is, if you were to see over here, bamboos do grow at a meter per day, which is really fast. Even faster than, of course, human growth. But yeah, I'm only around 5'7" or around 170 centimeters for reference. Over here guys, this is what a baby panda looks like, a far cry from adult pandas. And as you can see, they're basically nearly as small as hamsters. Yes, hamsters, which are really small rodents. And as you can see guys, these are two more panda bears. Over here guys, you can see some giraffes, and over there is, I believe, some chickens. As you can see, you can see the German nun as well as the Bantam Lackenfelder. Over here guys, you can see a primate called the bonobo, and as you can see, there is actually one bonobo climbing up a building and another on the ground. And over there guys, I believe they're female Sita tungas. Before showing you guys the elephant, why not, I'm gonna show you guys a flock of flamingos. As you can see guys, they're quite pink, by the way. And they do come from South America. Unfortunately, since I cannot find any elephants in the elephant area, therefore, sorry, no elephants for today. But I'm gonna show you guys an interesting species. This is actually a Himalayan terror, by the way, which came from Bhutan, Bhutan, Western Bhutan specifically. And up there, you could also find the Sichuan takin as well. But why not, let's look for some deer. Okay guys, these are some antelopes, as you can see. And unfortunately, there are also no hippos either, and the hippo bay would close in 3 minutes, so I do have to leave immediately. Even though I could find neither elephants nor hippos, I actually did spot a sloth bear. As you can see, I gotta run to it. Okay guys, this is actually a sloth bear, by the way. And over here guys are some birds. I'm not gonna get too technical, but there are actually a lot of birds, including this purple-naped lory, by the way, and several others. But unfortunately, the water birds had just closed a few minutes ago. It is now 18:06, so unfortunately it did close several minutes ago. And over here are some wolves, by the way. Now, as you can see guys, we're finally in penguin territory. Yes, penguins. They come all the way from the southern hemisphere. And here are some sea lions. Yes, they're quite cool, to be honest. Now, since the park will close in a few minutes, I'm going to show you guys some of the last species. Here is actually the zebra, and over there, if you want to go a bit, is actually an ox gazelle, as you can see guys. As you can see, there are more zebras, and over there guys, that creature is actually a common eland. Last stop right before the zoo closes. This is a lion. Okay guys, I'll say goodbye to the zoo. It is a wonderful zoo, but since I arrived too late, I did not get to see many animals or species. So why not, I'm going to look for some dinner. I'm so tired after so much walking today. Okay guys, after leaving the zoo, I'm currently in a street called Kurfürstendamm, or Kudamm for short. One of the longest avenues in Berlin. It is basically the Champs-Élysées Berlin. It has a lot of high-end shops, hotels, restaurants and stuff. So why not? I'm just gonna hang out around Kurfürstendamm, and over there guys is a church. Specifically it is the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church. But instead of going to the church, why not we go to the Huawei store? Yes, Huawei. You don't see any more Huawei phones in the US, don't you? At the Huawei store, you do see many things from laptops to tablets to smartphones. And of course, this is the Huawei P60, by the way. It does not come with the Play Store due to Donald Trump sanctions. The P60 Pro, absolutely a gorgeous phone. This is the P60 Pro, and of course this is the Huawei Mate X3, which costs 2,200 euros. This is basically a contender to the Z Fold 4. And this is the Huawei Mate 50 Pro. And this is the Huawei Mate XS2. Even though the Huawei Mate 50 Pro does have a quite big notch, just like some of the older iPhones, this is what the Huawei Mate 50 Pro looks like. It's absolutely gorgeous. Here are some of Huawei's tablet offerings, which include the Huawei MatePad 11, and here are some earbuds. Just like many major tech companies which sell smartphones, Huawei also offers earbuds as well. Wireless earbuds, just like Apple with the AirPods, Samsung with the Galaxy Buds, and Google with the Pixel Buds. Huawei also sells desktop computers and even monitors as well. This is basically an iMac competitor. As you can see guys, the MateStation X. Lastly, here are some smartwatches from Huawei. So before returning to the hotel, I'm going to go to Media Market, which is basically the European Best Buy, to get some stuff. Since the Media Market is right next to the hotel, over there guys is the Hotel Domicile. Why not? I'm just going to stop by the hotel, take a bit of rest, and then go eat dinner, which is also around the hotel. Burger King, McDonalds, and the like are all next to the hotel. Since the nearest McDonald's is technically below my hotel room, right next to my hotel, I decided to buy McDonald's and then bring it up to my room and eat. So thank you guys for watching. Please give a big thumbs up, subscribe for more videos. I'm so tired now. I'm just going to go to sleep though my legs are so tired. I'll see you guys soon.